Hello and welcome to KlineStudios Art Lesson 11. In this lesson we're going to begin shading. Before we were changing the weight of lines, doing analytical line drawing. Well, now we're actually going to use grayscale shading with graphite or pencil to show three-dimension. What I'm going to do is explain what we're going to do, and then I'm going to use time-lapse to speed it up a little as I do it, and then return to normal. Okay, so if things look a little weird, just a little experiment here, okay? What we're going to do first is we're going to start with creating a gray scale, alright? So, really quickly here, we're just going to make two lines across, like a rectangle, across the top of the page. Because we're going to draw an object and shade it underneath. But we're going to use this grayscale as a reference. So, quick rectangle. Obviously this is not time-lapse right now. Okay? And then we're going to divide that rectangle up into boxes. So a line through the middle, a line in the center of these two lines, and the same on the other side. Now we have 4 squares. Now I'm going to break those in half. There we go. And that gives us 8 squares, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first square is the lightest. It represents white, so we're going to shade it. It's very light. Again, it represents white. And the last box here is going to be the darkest, or representing black. And then we're going to fill in everything in between. So now for the time lapse. Okay, now we have our grayscale, and as you'll see, each block is gradually going to the darkest. So it's kind of creates a fade because there's only a slight variation between each one as it goes from the lightest to the darkest. So now I'm going to show you how to shade a cylinder, okay, like we did before with analytical line drawing, but this time we're shading it. The cylinder is going to have one directional undetermined light source, which is going to be to the left up here. I will draw a light bulb here. Ooh, lovely. Okay, that's where our light is coming from. The upper left side here, to the front, toward the front of the object. So what I'm going to do is first draw an oval or a can lightly, like we did with analytical line drawing, but not darken any of the lines. So oval at the top. 2 straight sides, and again, when it shows up, I'm going to stop. So there's an oval. I'm going to make mine a little darker so that you can see it in the video before I start the shading. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is erase the top of the bottom oval because it's no longer glass. We're shading a solid cylinder. But I draw the whole oval so that I can get the curve at the bottom correct. So now we have a can. The light's going to hit toward the top and the front, so the top plane is simply going to be a very light shade because it's a flat plane and is getting a lot of light. And then here from left to right, it's going to go around the object, the light's hitting it, so it's going from light to dark, just like up here, across the front. What's going to be different is there's something called a reflective edge. When light hits the table or the surface, it bounces around off the wall and reflects back onto the object. So this is going to go from light to dark, but then just toward the edge, it's going to be a little lighter than the dark. So it's going to go to this dark and then back to this where it's a little lighter, right at the edge. The opposite is happening on this side, the light side. There's going to be a slight darker shade like this one, edge down the front here because it's starting to roll around the back, so it's not going to be the lightest, because again the light is hitting here. Okay? Now we're going to do the, I'm going to do the time lapse and show you how it's shaded. Okay, now you'll notice that there's the reflective edge. It's slightly lighter than the dark side, and this is slightly darker than the light side here. Now we want to sit this cylinder on the surface. And the way we're going to sit it on the surface, and I don't need time-lapse for this, is we're going to make it nice and dark here at the bottom, back and forth, where it's sitting on the surface. Okay, just again a little line drawing back and forth until it shows up. And the next part is going to be a shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the shadow shape first, and then I'll do time-lapse for shading it in. Okay? The light again is going this direction, so off the bottom oval. Now we're just going to pretend it's on a table that there's no wall. We're not doing a table line. So we'll just have the shadow run out a bit, because again it's slightly above. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take the shape of this curve, or it's shining down on it. So it's going to start out straight, and then it's going to curve behind the object. So I'm just drawing lightly the shape of the shadow. Now shading the shadow. Can you see my hand here and the shadow of my hand? As it gets closer to the paper, the shadow of my hand gets sharper and more clear. As I go away, it starts to get, I have to go up higher so you can see, it starts to get fuzzier. See that? The edges start to fuzz out. Same thing happens with my shadow here. The closer it is to the object, the sharper the edges are and the darker it is. And as it goes away, it'll start to blur out and become lighter. And it'll do it in a fashion, a curved fashion, because again, it's a curved object that's casting the shadow. So now I'm going to do time lapse to shade it. Okay, well the time lapse didn't capture me shading the shadow, but as long as it's dark and sharp toward the object and fades out toward the edge, then you're golden. All right, see you next week.